This video you're watching is literally right after the previous, which was talking about Romain Ntamack and the sad news that he is out of Rugby World Cup 2023. Now our thoughts begin to take the next step. What does this mean? Not just really for Les Bleus, but how will this impact on Antoine Dupont, who is probably the world's best rugby player. You watch Dupont and his poise and his confidence in his own gifts, his ability to be able to run through guys who are much bigger than himself, and he just creates. He's one of those players, and we'll maybe do a video of it, one of those players who, when he gets the ball, you lean forward a little bit and you begin to breathe or hold your breath or however you respond when you're anticipating something. He's one of those players. He has that gift and that genius and that ability, and he is vitally important to France. As opposed to other teams, or some other teams, but particularly my part of the world that has historically placed more emphasis on 10, France, he's the man. He's the intersection. He's the fulcrum. He's the springboard that gives France its height. And invariably, he's the one who'll do something special and will mark a match and be the difference maker. And so you can imagine at this point now, then that sense or that expectation is only growing. France have players, and this can be the difficulty. Will he overplay his hand? Now, of course, you'll say no, and of course, we'll say no. He'll understand, but he's at home, and the desire for success will have only grown. Previous World Cups and their experiences of getting to the final will mean that they are like, we must finish. We're at home. We have that advantage, and so the intensity, the temperature that is warm, and in every World Cup is at boiling point for a World Cup at home. And a World Cup when if you're not the favourites, then you're one of the favourites. And so expectations are there. The combination and the knowledge, the things that were being put into place over so many years with his partner in Ntamack, now not available. And so what does this do to Antoine Dupont? Does he become Napoleon Dynamite for real? Or more Napoleon maybe? Does he go off and does he lead this French team and take them to places they could never have imagined? Does he do things on the field because now he knows, instead of having more balance maybe, then he's saying, I know I can beat these guys, so instead of trying it once or twice, I'm going to try it 3 or 4 or 5 times until they show they can stop me. What will he do and how will he respond? Well, I think the motivations will have risen, and it will be interesting to see the first match versus the All Blacks and how he comes out, how the All Blacks respond. What would you do if you're a defending team? Would you, in some respects, put more pressure, or I was going to actually say take the pressure off, but would you put more pressure on him, or have less pressure on him, if I can string together my thoughts? In other words, would you know that because he will realise that it's on him, would you seek to push him over and put him into a corner? It's an interesting one, because my knee-jerk response to that is he's the type of player who will get out of the corner. But he's not. He's Napoleon Dynamite, but he's not Superman. And so is that a fait accompli in terms of him rising above? I say in the knockout contest, then that could be a tactic that you assign a certain loose forward to stay on his case. It'd be interesting. I mean, in terms of an All Blacks angle, then Ardie Savea could be one that you could say, Ardie, I want you to be his bodyguard. I want you to be his double. When he gets the ball, you get the ball, or you get the player with the ball. Or would you begin to say, well, We know that there's more cushion room, so we will focus more on defense. We will look to him more, but it won't be in one sense to put more pressure on him, but it will be to put more cover on him. So we would know that he can bend us. We know he's going to bend us, but we don't want him to break us. And so in terms of now with what going through him more, then we will associate, or we will assign more defense, but in such a way that isn't looking to get in his grill, isn't looking to put the heat on, but just looking to make sure that his impact is limited or mitigated. I was going to say litigated. Hey, making the words here. So what will it be for Antoine Dupont? The world's best player. I think that's fair. I think he is the world's best player. I'm just thinking out loud. I mean, and it's not necessarily one you always expect at halfback. In terms of, is there a position? For me as a Kiwi, it's 7 and 10. I've talked about that. But I think that his impact in the game, his individual gifts and abilities mean that as long as he's on the field for their blur, then they're in with a shot. And so as teams now consider, and obviously the All Blacks are first up and could be last up, as they consider how to stop this little general from beating them, how will they approach? How would you approach? What impact do you think that the removal of Ntamack, what will that do to not only Dupont's psyche but his play? Because see, the tendency will be to overplay your hand. And if you can encourage that as a defense, as an opposition, then you want to do that. But some people are just really good. And when you push them to overplay their hand, that they can actually play at that level and play with the type of gravitas that can handle what you put on them. In fact, they use it as a stage to stand on your head as they run over you and get the winning try. Does Dupont I think Dupont has that type of gravitas. So if it was me, I'd be very tempted to have a type of strategy that, and it may be a rolling strategy. Like, for example, have someone on him, but that person on him, or those individuals on him, because they're so close, and they do raise that level. So it's not an either or. It's not thinking, well, you're not charging out of the defensive line and doing all manner of things, but it is a constant exertion of pressure on the scrum half, the halfback for France. And now that his partner in crime, or his partner in liberty, in rugby liberty, is now not part of this event, then there is an opportunity to maximize what you can do. And how are you going to do that? So leave any thoughts, any comments. This is really an evolving, you could say, video. Not that it will become like 10 minutes more by some mysterious providence, but it is one that is a narrative that this is a beginning point, and one that we should look at, one that you should look at, to see how, and to see whether, if you've seen a lot of Antoine Dupont before, and we don't see as much of him down this part of the world, but if you have, then how, if you discern any type of differences in his play and how he responds, what he does. And he's a runner. I mean, he reminds me more of a rugby league halfback or a rugby league hooker, really, in terms of how he plays. And it's certainly, insanely gifted, insanely talented, and seemingly, Christian Cullen had some pretty out there strength, but it seems like he has this outsourced strength relative to his size and relative to his dimensions. So, and Antoine Dupont, is my throat is about to kick out. I'm not going to do this video again, so you just have to deal with it. But please, like, share, subscribe, comment, and if you do all those things, then even though it's a sad day, where another star in the world of rugby now becomes one that's lost in the luminary lights in the sky, then we can have a sort of a group group hug encouragement about some quality investigation and digressions on this YouTube channel. Thank you for watching.